Right now at 10, Metro services came to a halt last week. Why Madison bus drivers say they are done working overtime.
And bringing down drug costs, the new legislation boosting trade between the U.S. and Canada.
And a cheerleader from Wisconsin is competing against the best of the best. The way you can help her make it an international competition. That is all coming up on News 3 Now at 10. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Sarah Carlson.
And I'm Eric Franke. If you rely on Madison Metro, you may have noticed some service interruptions last week due to negotiations between Metro employees and city officials. Well, tonight, our Maddie Heimsch brings us to where the rubber meets the road.
Each day, hundreds of Madisonians wait at stops like these for the bus. But on Thursday, 18 Metro routes were canceled, leaving riders in the cold.
The 7 o'clock bus never showed up. I had to call the boss man, tell him I'm gonna be late.
I ended up waiting here for like 40 minutes for my bus that never came.
I was trying to wait on the bus, it ain't come. I'm like, dang, you know what I'm saying? I'm freezing to death. I had to walk to my destination.
The city released this notice reading, quote, due to an extreme number of driver absences, Metro is experiencing service disruptions today. But several bus drivers, each who have asked to remain anonymous, tell me drivers and mechanics were declining to work overtime.
It highlights to the people out in the community that, well, wait a minute, why do they rely so heavily on overtime?
A City of Madison spokesperson tells me on a typical day, 40 Metro drivers will work overtime hours. On Thursday, only 4 did so. UW-Madison professor of labor education Michael Childers says Thursday's staffing shortage spotlights just how many routes are driven on an overtime clock.
It helps them exert more power at the bargaining table in terms of highlighting the issues.
Teamsters Local 120, the union representing Metro employees, is currently in negotiations with the City of Madison. Drivers tell me they're asking the city for livable wages, but they're limited in their bargaining tactics.
Here in Madison, they are city workers, they are public employees, and by statute, public employees are not granted the right to strike.
But the most recent union contract expired at the end of 2024, leaving drivers who have been out of contract for nearly 2 months to take some form of action.
They just applied the rules that had already been bargained in their current agreement and utilized those to take action together.
Childers says even if they were allowed to strike,
there are many people that rely on Metro Transit, and these bus drivers are sympathetic to that.
And many riders sympathetic right back.
I ride the bus like pretty much every day, and these bus drivers sometimes have to go through a lot, and I think they, deserve more.
I reached out to the union for comment several times. A representative tells me they'll be able to speak further on the matter after this week's negotiations. Reporting in Madison, I'm Maddie Heimsch, News 3 Now.
Thanks, Maddie. And now a look at your forecast. Southern Wisconsin hit the low 50s today.
Well, a trend that should stick with us for the week. Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington out on the weather patio, jacket off. He is ready for spring, folks.
I am ready for spring. In fact, behind me we have our First Warn Weather Team Lake behind us as well from all the melting snow. And yeah, no jacket out here. I find it fascinating that 1 week ago today, I was inside doing first weather because we had wind chills to 30 below zero. And now I'm tracking showers and a clap or two of thunder across parts of southern Wisconsin, Dane County. There was a drop or two out here that I did feel were on the southwest side of Madison, but more persistent showers over southwestern Wisconsin, Crawford County, Richland County, Iowa, Grant, and Lafayette counties. And as we zoom on out, those showers are lining up from southeast Minnesota into southwest Wisconsin. And we will use Future Track a little bit later in our newscast to track those showers. And there could be a clap or two of thunder. Sarah, you had said low 50s today. We actually upped that temperature by 1 degree in Madison to 54, nearly 60 in Camp Douglas, 56, 51 in Platteville, and 50 in Janesville. And right now it's still 43 degrees out here across a good portion of southern Wisconsin, quite a few 43s, a 39 in Mineral Point. The average high temperature for this time of year is 35, and at 10 o'clock at night, we're above our normal average high, which again, I find extraordinary that we've made that accomplishment over the course of a week. 43 Madison, 45 Verona, 42 Sun Prairie, and how about 45 in Mount Orab? And staying warm through the next 7 to 10 days. But what about precipitation? What can we expect and in what form? We'll talk more about that in just a few minutes because here come the raindrops out right now on the patio.
All right, come on indoors. Alex, thank you. 2 people are dead after a gas leak up in Monroe County. Monroe County Sheriff's Office says the leak happened at a home on Hobby Road. That's in the town of Oakdale. A caller went to the home as they had not heard from the residents there. A teenage girl was pulled from the home, later pronounced dead at the scene. Emergency crews also found a man and 2 pets dead inside that residence. The incident remains under investigation, but authorities were able to find the source of the gas.
We are in the middle of flu season and many states, including Wisconsin, are getting hit hard. The latest numbers from UW Health here show from February 4th to the 18th, they saw 100 people for the flu. 28 of those were hospitalized as of last week. And one expert says the outbreak can be attributed to end of the year travel in 2024.
Remember back to the holidays a couple months back, we had epic kind of record travel levels, and you had a bunch of vulnerable people traveling here, there, and everywhere. Very few people wearing masks or taking protective measures.
Now, influenza A is currently the strain causing the most problems, but we're not out of the woods yet. Influenza B typically spikes during the spring.
The number of measles cases continues to grow. 8 states now reporting the illness. It's important to know the warning signs. Early on, it can mimic a respiratory illness, causing a bit of a cough, red eyes, and extreme congestion. Typical measles also have a red blotchy rash that develops 3 to 5 days after the symptoms start, and tiny white spots inside the mouth 2 to 3 days before symptoms begin. Experts say vaccination is the best protection.
For the vast majority of people, if you've gotten your measles shots, you should be protected. It should be something that works for life.
Before 1963, when vaccines were not routinely given, there were between 400 and 500 people dying every year in the U.S. from measles. In 2015, there was 1 death, the most recent in the U.S. from that illness.
Well, newly proposed legislation in California is hoping to crack down on young kids shopping for anti-aging products. The bill covers items with ingredients like retinol and vitamin C. Now, it would make it illegal for companies to sell over-the-counter products to shoppers under the age of 18. One dermatologist says social media is contributing to a skincare obsession.
So I think it's important to educate these children that while these ingredients are good, and they might even be recommended for teens with acne or hyperpigmentation, but as a general rule, they're better off sticking with the basics.
And doctors say those basics include keeping skin clean, applying sunscreen and moisturizer.
New legislation would make prescription drugs more affordable by importing them from Canada. That bill being introduced by a bipartisan group of lawmakers, and that includes Wisconsin U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin. It would allow Americans to safely import prescription drugs from Canada, lowering costs and creating more competition in the pharmaceutical market. Now, in a statement to News 3 Now, Senator Baldwin took aim at the pharmaceutical industry, saying, quote, "Big drug companies are ripping off Americans, and far too many families in Wisconsin are struggling to afford the prescription drugs they need to stay healthy. It's just not right," end quote. In 2022, Congress passed the Inflation Reduction Act to lower health care and prescription drug costs. The cost savings for the first 10 drugs will go into effect next year.
The U.S. Supreme Court will not hear arguments in a pair of appeals seeking to wipe out protest buffer zones around abortion clinics. The move will leave those restrictions in place for now. Lower courts had tossed out both appeals based on a 2000 decision from the Supreme Court that upheld a similar buffer law in Colorado. 2 conservative justices said they would have heard the cases.
The Wisconsin Department of Transportation urging consumers to be careful when buying cars online. This comes after an increase in reports of online vehicle sale fraud. Scammers are creating fake websites or social media pages where cars are priced below market value with no in-person contact with the dealer. WISC recommends people research the dealership ahead of time, refrain from sending any money, and visually inspect any vehicle before buying. Another scam sweeping the nation, trying to take money by convincing people they owe an unpaid toll. Drivers across the country are getting texts threatening legal action if they don't pay an outstanding toll fee. Now, those fake texts are often sent from an international number and can include a link to pay. Experts say if you identify a text as fake, you can report it as junk, block the number. But scammers are finding a bit of a workaround.
When I block the number, they send more the different phone numbers. It's incredible. They have many phone numbers.
Experts say if you receive a text and worry it may be legit, don't use any contact info in the text. Instead, just reach out directly to your state's tolling agency with a phone number or website that you know is real.
Well, 2 years ago, we introduced you to Sierra Collins. She's a Wisconsin native who cheers on an elite level despite her disability.
And Collins proving once again the sky is the limit after qualifying for one of the highest cheer tournaments in the world. Our Tanisha Shaw has more.
Sierra Collins is a quadruple sport athlete, competing in cheer,
basketball, track, and soccer.
Do you have a favorite?
All of them.
Sierra and her mom, Trisha Collins, dedicate their lives to sports.
Gone through a lot. We've traveled. We've been on different teams, and she's accomplished a lot. She's won a lot of competitions.
After years of competing and only receiving a high five or a good job, she joined an elite cheer squad in Illinois to compete at a higher level.
She watched the other teams get medals and plaques and awards, as she calls them, and rings and things that she wasn't getting, and she wasn't really traveling, so we kind of ventured out into what is known as the elite world, which is what she's in now, which is the highest level of cheer abilities.
Now, she is the only athlete from Wisconsin on the U.S. national team for the Special Olympics at the 2025 International Cheer Union Competition.
For me, I think this is the biggest level you can get to. And so for me, it was like, that's a huge deal.
It's one of the biggest cheer tournaments in the world.
I think for me, knowing she's going to come out there wearing, USA on her warm-ups and in opening ceremonies with other countries and other athletes is just, it kind of makes it all worth it.
Sierra is 24 years old, and she was born with an anoxic brain injury and autism. Cognitively, doctors say she functions as a 6-year-old.
As a young child, we were always told that she wouldn't be able to do things, and she wouldn't be able to do the things that she's doing.
Now, Sierra needs your help to secure her next ring.
It's something she genuinely loves, and so, paying for those uniforms and paying for the everything extra that comes in cheer. I mean, cheer is definitely not cost-friendly.
When the DeForest Police Department heard about the cause, they were excited to help.
Like if people or businesses donate over the $100, they can buy an officer of their choice, and we'll split that.
The ICU competition takes place in Orlando in April. Are you nervous?
No.
Reporting in Endeavor, Tanisha Shaw, News 3 Now.
Tanisha, thank you. You can donate to the fundraiser until March 31st. And we have more information on our website, channel3000.com, right now.
Another record-setting night for cancer research over at the Sylvie Theater in Madison, where our very own Josh Sprider emceed the Andy North Trivia Night. His co-MC is a familiar face as well and shared why she wants people to donate.
Is the man behind Dance Progress, who has been through everything with us. Hard questions, harder answers. That's Dr. Lang right there.
And that was former News 3 Now anchor Leah Lynchide sharing her dad's story of being diagnosed with cancer and the treatment he received at the Carbone Cancer Center. She even surprised her father with his doctor at the trivia night. The evening benefits the Carbone Cancer Center, with host Andy North making an appearance. Organizers raised $130,000 tonight, beating last year's record of $125,000. News 3 Now continues to be a proud sponsor of the event.
And her dad, Zeke, looks great. He's doing well. It's good to see him there. Still ahead on News 3 Now at 10. Alex tells us about our chances for some showers this week.
And the leader of France pays a visit to the White House, the high-stakes meeting to end Russia's war with Ukraine. That's next.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
President Trump met with French President Emmanuel Macron at the White House today.
This comes as Russia's war with Ukraine enters its 4th year. The high-stakes talks at the Oval Office focused on that conflict. Both leaders expressed optimism that Russia and Ukraine could soon strike a peace deal.
I will be meeting with President Zelensky. In fact, he may come in this week or next week to sign the agreement.
The U.S. is leading negotiations to end that war, but in an interview on Russian television, Vladimir Putin said he has not, quote, substantively discussed the war yet with the U.S. In a sign of shifting U.S. policy toward Russia, the U.S. opposed a UN resolution that blamed Russia for its invasion of Ukraine.
The U.S. halting plans to house migrants in tent structures at Guantanamo Bay amid concerns they don't meet detention standards. Now, last month, you'll recall, the Trump administration said it would be building out these tent structures at the U.S. base to house an anticipated 30,000 migrants. However, sources say the tents lack air conditioning and electricity, which are required by ICE. Migrants are still being placed in the detention facility there on the base.
Now, Apple has announced plans to invest $500 billion in the United States over the next 4 years. The tech giant says the investment will create 20,000 jobs, and the announcement comes weeks after President Trump imposed a 10% tariff on all imports from China. Most of Apple's iPhones are manufactured in China. The multi-billion-dollar investment includes building a server manufacturing facility in Houston, as well as expanding data center operations in 5 states.
As Pope Francis remains in critical condition in a hospital, the Vatican says he is improving. A prognosis for the 88-year-old has yet to be released. He is suffering from double pneumonia and has been in the hospital since February 14th. The Vatican started nighttime prayers for Pope Francis in St. Peter's Square, inviting the public to join with cardinals and other members of the clergy for an evening rosary.
Well, let's take a look at the forecast with the 50s and 40s continuing through the week.
But snow could be back at some point in the region. I hope it's next December, but Alex is here to tell us more.
I have some good news for you, Eric. I think a lot of it will be in the form of rain, but a couple of wet snowflakes, we can't rule that out from time to time this week. It's going to be unsettled, but it's going to stay mild overall for the next 10 days. We're already tracking a few showers here on Radar 3000, just down the road from the studio, Mount Horeb, just south of 14 in Cross Plains. Zooming on in here, Barneville, town of Vermont, Mount Horeb, just south of Mazomania on 14. Probably some decent raindrops coming down. We had a few out there on the patio. We have scattered showers right now across southwest Wisconsin, stretching from Crawford County down 14 towards Lone Rock and southwest and 151 towards Platteville. We're not expecting heavy rainfall tonight, but a couple scattered showers, and we can't rule out a clap or two of thunder, which we see here with Future Track doing a nice job capturing the extent of the showers over areas south and west of the Dells to Madison over towards Platteville. As we head towards 11:30, 12 o'clock, take note of the little yellow and orange near the Platteville area, south and west. Mineral Point, we could get a flash of lightning and a little bit of thunder before these showers move off towards the south and towards the east by the time we get to 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And as you wake up at 6 o'clock, skies become sunny and we have a very nice mild day expected. Again, not looking at heavy rainfall tonight. You'd be lucky maybe to get a 1/10 to a 1/4 of an inch over southwest Wisconsin. Those showers will fizzle a little bit as they get towards Madison and move off towards the south and towards the east. Low temperatures tonight. These are our normal high temperatures for this time of year. I keep emphasizing that because just 1 week ago, we had temperatures below 0, actual air temperatures and wind chills to 30 below. And here we are with temperatures overnight tonight, not dipping too much further than our normal high for this time of year in the low to mid 30s. And tomorrow we're going to do upper 40s to near 50 degrees as that sun comes back out. Again, yet another mild day across southern Wisconsin and staying mild. Eric was mentioning some of those snow chances. We could have a little bit of wet snow Wednesday night and a little wet snow Friday morning. But as temperatures warm up quickly during the day, any wet snow that we would get would likely melt very, very quickly, with the predominant form meaning the most likely form of precipitation type being rain Wednesday going on into Friday, maybe ending as a few snow showers on Saturday. And the First Warn Weather Team, we want to let you know first that a weather system next Tuesday going into Wednesday could be a pretty big weather maker for a good portion of the Midwest, bringing rain and gusty winds. There could be severe weather. There could be some snow in the Midwest as well, and we'll be keeping an eye on that because the track is key for what precipitation type you get. Thanks, Bernie, for sending us this snowy picture from Baraboo, but I bet that sunshine today did a number on that snow. All Bernie had to do is just scan that QR code so that we could show you the weather on air. We'll be right back.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
We have some exciting news to share. Channel3000.com is expanding its daily coverage of the Green Bay Packers by adding beat writer Jason Wilde to the team.
And I spoke to Jason about this new role. Jason Wilde, the newest member of our Channel 3000 team with exclusive content covering the Packers this offseason. Jason, great to have you on board. Let's talk about what a special offseason this could be for the green and gold, especially with the draft on our Wisconsin soil.
Yeah, the draft in Green Bay is a huge deal, but this is a big offseason for the Packers as a whole. Brian Gutekunst has issued the challenge that we need to ramp up our urgency, compete for championships. That means him, too, as I wrote at channel3000.com. They need to make some moves that get this team over the hump that they've been unable to surpass the last 2 seasons.
Well, Jason, you're going to be based up in Green Bay, which really gives us some great access to the team. You've been covering them for so long. When you think about, the years that you've covered these teams, what are some of your, maybe one of your favorite teams or moments that you've covered with this team?
Yeah, unfortunately, I've covered a lot of heartbreak for Packers fans, along with 2 Super Bowl championships. But I covered a Super Bowl loss. I covered 4th and 26. I covered Seattle in 2014 in the NFC Championship game. So for our viewers and our readers, I hope I'm bringing you more happy news than I brought heartbreak in past stops.
I was actually in the press box with you when you had to cancel a flight after 4th and 26 in Philadelphia. It was a heartbreaking moment. But Jason, it's great to have you on board, man. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
And he is already writing for us at channel3000.com. Check it out. We'll be right back.
Tonight, Colbert's All New with Woody Harrelson from Elsbeth Wendell Pierce. And
this is a very special edition of Rescue Dog Rescue.
CBS tonight.
Well, students in Alaska took a unique approach to fundraise for essential menstrual products. South Anchorage High School students started the ASD Period Project, raising awareness about period poverty while raising money to get more access to products in Anchorage schools. Why are you laughing?
Oh my God, the video. Students that participated in the fundraiser got to vote on which of their teachers they'd like to see experience a period cramp simulator.
I see now what you're saying. Yeah,
they period cramp simulator.
That guy.
Okay, the students chose Mr. Hemingway. The project has raised $4,500. Oh, look at him. The effort to make periods in school a little less painful, like by zapping Mr. Hemingway.
That poor guy, he's feeling it. I was wondering why she was laughing. I didn't read that second part. That was her read.
That's why I asked you. Did you
I read my part. I didn't read yours.
Okay, well, you need to. I don't know.
I thought it was a serious fundraiser. Right. It was, but they were also making fun of Mr. Hemingway.
I'm sweating.
Let's go to Alex. Final check of the
weather
forecast.
Change, haven't we?
I can't transition to anything like that. Let's look at the 10-day forecast here. On and off, you got me, Abe. Abe, you got me. He's our director back there. Temperatures in the upper 40s to near 50 degrees this week. Staying mild over the weekend as well. And on and off rain chances. I think the snow chances. Hello.
Keep it together, Alex.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us, folks.
Have a good night.